Hey, y'all, welcome back. Today's episode is a real treat for me, and I am not sure that I care what you think, but as my listening audience, I am going to share an amazing conversation with Dubsado co-founder Becca Berg. Now, unlike how I usually start these episodes, I am going to start with the personal for her because her husband is her co-founder of Dubsado. So, Becca, welcome to Business First Creatives.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I mean, I feel like in a perfect world, I would think to myself, oh my gosh, founding and running a company with my husband sounds amazing. But I'm going to be honest, that really doesn't sound amazing to me.
It's a blessing. Blessings are hard, but also really good, right?
Yes, let's go with that. So I want to dive personal first because I find it so fascinating that the company is co-founded by, the two of you. So how did you first meet Jake?
Oh, we knew each other in high school. We actually went all the way back to middle school together, but he was the very popular guy. I was not a popular person. I was more of the nerd that actually could not get any good grades, so I don't know what I was. But he was one of those people that just showed up and got an A on a test. Like, I don't understand people like that. That's not me. But anyways, I was always very intimidated by him because he was like the popular guy. He had like a mullet with a red streak down the middle, like this weird guy. But we were in show choir together. And I remember like he was very cute. And I remember I was his dance partner for one of the songs that we had. And I was like, oh, like maybe like now I'll get to talk to him. And so like I said, hi, like this blah, blah, blah. This is like kind of hard. And he was just like, mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this guy doesn't want to talk to me. I give up. I'm just going to be his dance partner, whatever. And it wasn't until we were in college, so freshman year of college, he just finished, he like left his first semester of UC San Diego. And then Biz, our actual chief people officer at Dubsado, was like, Becca, I really want you to come to this party with me. And she goes, I really like this one guy here. It wasn't Jake. So she drugged me there. I was already like showered in my PJs, everything. I was like, Biz, do you understand what this requires of me? I'm a grandma. Like I'm in bed by 8. She's like, please come with me. And so that party, Jake was there, and the rest was history. Like we literally hit it off that night, and we started dating like super seriously like a week or so later.
So, all good things come in good time. Isn't that phrase?
Yes.
I mean, we talked about this before we hit record, but I just celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary.
Congrats.
Thank you. But when I tell people that, they're like, wow, you got married as a child. I'm like, no, I actually met my husband in college. Yeah. I mean, we've been together for 27 and a half years now. But
that's amazing.
I mean, it is nice when you find your partner early and you kind of go through life. And again, like, I feel like you guys have something that James and I will never have. My husband is a biochemist. He is a lab rat.
Wow.
And so asking him to do anything business related, that's not in his wheelhouse. He has people that tell him what to do, or he's doing the research on it. And that's how we go. So I must admit, I am a little jealous of the way that Dubsado got founded, because basically you, as a photographer, needed something. And Jake was like, hey, I can build that for you. So tell me that backstory, because I was amazed at how many people were at the VIP event that didn't know that that's how Dubsado was like created. Right? And so I feel like maybe I want to make sure that if someone doesn't know in the future, I can be like, yeah, Becca talked about it on my podcast. Come listen.
Yeah, I know. I was pretty amazed at that too, because I feel like I tell it all the time, but I love telling this story. And it comes from such a very naive place of like, we had no idea what we're doing, but we were just lost in the craziness of running a business. So I was running my photography business at the time. I did a lot of headshots for little kids in like the modeling agency section and all of that. And my husband was doing web design, and he was also running a retreat center at the time. So like we had a lot of things happening. We had just got married like a year ago. We had our first son. So like life was wild. And I'm the type of person that I try to keep everything like all written down and like my little notes and all of that. And like that did great for so long for my headshot photography, since I'd been doing this since I was 13. And when you have a kid and you get married and you have like life changes, like the responsibilities add up. And There was one particular photo shoot. It was in the time where I was just cranking these shoots out. I was sitting at my desk, didn't have any shoots planned for that day, quote, and this one person walks in to my office and was like, "Hey, Becca, I'm here for our shoot." And in the back of my head, I'm like, what the heck? Like, what shoot? And as she's like talking and like super excited about like the clothes that she picked out and all of that, I was like scrolling through my computer of like, what shoot? Like, I don't see anything on my calendar. So like internally, I'm freaking out. And I type in her name in the email, and I see that, yeah, I confirmed this day. Like, I'm super excited to work with you. And it just didn't get added to my calendar. So yes, I booked the shoot for this day and completely forgot about it. It was at that moment where I was like, Becca, this has to change. Like, I cannot be so unpredictable. And client experience is my number one thing. It's something that I've always really, really focused on in my business and whatever I did at that time. And having to tell that photo shoot to go change into her first outfit. And while you do that, I'm just going to go run and get something real quick for our shoot, AKA my camera at home. And I ran home in 5 minutes, thank goodness, came back, and we did that shoot. She had no idea, but in the back of my head, I was like, that was a horrible experience. Like, I will never do that again. That is not how I want my business to be represented. And so Jake's like, hello, remember, I'm like, I can build you something. And he actually came to me like, I want to say like a year prior and was like, I want to build a CRM. I was like, Jake, that's boring. Why would you want to do that? And so here I am. I'm like, Jake, I need something. He goes, I told you this a year ago. And I was like, yeah, but now I need it.
Now it's real.
It's real. And it had a niche. Like how he presented it to me before was like super broad and open, and it sounded just like very stale. And so when it came time for me to need something like that, it was like, let's focus on creatives. Let's focus on the small business owner. And so it had a purpose and a need. And I was like, if I'm struggling with this, I know other people are struggling with it too.
I mean, but Becca, I will admit, so I started on 17 Hats, and then I went to Tave, and then I went to Dubsado, and of course, I've never left you. But the one thing that I've said along the way is, oh my gosh, but like, I know what I want the CRM to do. I should just build one. And then I met you, and I'm like, no, I would never want that for my life. Because, I mean, building a SaaS company, any SaaS company is hard. But I feel like there's extra layers when it comes to building a CRM. So I want you to tell me about like this first iteration of Dubsado. Was it literally that you just gave Jake like this list of things? These are the things that I need it to do for my business? Or did you guys start a little broader with thinking about your actual future customers while you built? Like, which one was it?
It was the things that I needed in my business. Like that was, since we've never done this before. Like we've never run something like this. We've never worked in SaaS like this. And so we took it from a very just honest standpoint of, what do I need in my business? What do I need in my photography business, him and his web design? And we started building that out. So one was just contracts. I needed contracts. I'd gotten screwed over a few times. I needed a way to accept payments. And so it started adding up. But while he was doing that and building out like my perfect dream CRM, I was also in so many Facebook groups, so many social media platforms, just trying to study what like people like me are doing and are needing, because I know 17 Hats existed. Honeybook was in its beta phase. And so I was like listening to all these needs that people were having and where other systems and platforms were falling short. And what I noticed, it was a lot in client experience and being able to customize your forms, anything that you send your client to look like the best representation of your brand. And none of the other systems on the market at that time had that. And so that became our going forward like goal of, we need to make sure that the people that use Dubsado look so freaking good and their clients don't know that they're using a CRM. They just feel at ease. They feel like your clients feeling organized is kind of like the best feeling ever, because when your clients feel at peace, like you get that huge trust and all of that. So that became the mission that we had of just customizing. We need to make sure that people can show their brand on Dubsado.
Okay, I love that you say that because I actually didn't know that part of the story, but it's the part that I feel like I am explaining to people over and over again because I do get quite a few photographers that come to me and are like, okay, Coley, but like, I see that Dubsado is your favorite, but like, why? And I'm like, because you get to showcase your art at the same time that you ask somebody to pay you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And originally, why I chose Dubsado was the code block.
Yes.
I mean, and I know you're talking about customizing the forms. I actually didn't really care about that. It was that I could take my films that I was making for my newborn clients, for my family clients, and embed them on the proposal. I mean, the number of people who booked films simply because they saw it on the proposal when I was asking them to initially pay for photography and then potentially add on a family film, that was what enabled me to really grow my business to where almost everybody who came in after that was actually buying a film because they could see it at the same time that I was asking them to make the initial booking. And so it is one of my favorite things about Dubsado. And you were maybe being a little generous. You're like, no one else was doing customization at this time. You do know that most of them still don't have it. I mean, you can say that out loud.
Yes. Which is so wild to me. Like, why? Like being able to have like that video, like that's its own form of like showing you and your authentic self and your brand coming through of like what a powerful thing to be able to do. And so like it was those tiny little cracks that we were seeing in other CRMs of like, nah, this is what's needed in the industry. We need business owners to shine for their clients to feel like, whoa, I love this video. Like that, what you described there is exactly what we were going for.
Let's talk about those future clients because I heard the story of how Dubsado launched. And so tell me, how did you celebrate your first subscriber?
Oh, the first subscriber happened on the first day. Like, it was surreal for me. The first subscriber, I just remember of being like, there was no like particular celebration because I was so on an adrenaline high of we just launched this thing. We got our first sign up, like the first $10. And I immediately, maybe this was my celebration, I immediately went and got our little welcome packet ready to send out to them. And so at the very beginning of Dubsado, we sent little notebooks and pens to every single customer. And we put them in the boxes. We assembled the boxes. We sent it out. Like everything was so manual and time consuming, but it was such a celebration for us to be like, every single customer matters. And we weren't running any ads. In fact, we didn't even run any Facebook ads the first 5 years of business. So this is where we were putting our money, is like into our customers, into making sure that they feel taken care of. It wasn't until we got to our first 100 customers that we celebrated something very big, which is not big for anybody else. I don't drink at all. Like the taste of beer or wine just like really gives me a headache. So I just stay away from it. But Jake had really wanted me to just have a beer with him. So on our 100th customer, we went to a restaurant and I had like, I think just like 2 sips. I was like, Jake, I can't have this. But then along the way, we set in like other checkpoints of like how we celebrate. Maybe we'll go out to dinner and just like take that moment and pause and take it in of like, heck yeah, like we built this. This is really cool. And we did that for so many of these things. And as we got bigger and things got more complex and hard, I definitely stopped celebrating as much. And I didn't realize that I stopped celebrating. Like I was so happy that we kept growing and all of these customers were coming on. And it wasn't until I got my business coach in 2022. It's just so great to have like an outside perspective of someone being like, you're freaking awesome. Like you built that. And to like hear that, I'm like, yeah, I did build that. I did build it. And just like, she has been reminding me since I've been working with her all of these years, she goes, look at how far you come. Look at how far you've grown as a person. Look at all this. And so like pausing, and no matter how and what level of success that you're at, being able to create those milestones for yourself and say, I'm going to celebrate here, I'm going to celebrate there, has been a key part now in in my Dubsado journey.
I mean, I understand. I don't know that I said this when we were together in February, but I didn't even realize that I was hitting 10 years of business until my husband got me a cake and balloons
That's
and
so
him
cool.
and Chloe celebrated with me. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I've been in business for 10 years. I mean, I don't really think I knew what a big deal that was. The same thing happened, the first year that I hit six figures. I was like, I know that this is something like everybody celebrates, but I was just like, okay, I mean, I'm just happy that I run a business that
Yep.
enables me to have a life and kind of, stay at home while my kid was going to school more. And so those were the things that I celebrated maybe internally. And so those bigger milestones, I don't know, it never really occurred to me to celebrate them. But I do want to say for the record that you told us in February that there are now 30,000 plus users on Dubsado. And so I just wanted you to know that I celebrate you. And I'm sure that if everybody knew how big Dubsado has really gotten, I mean, I don't know where you guys think you're going in the future, but like to me, 30,000 users is just like, oh my gosh, like I would have never imagined starting a SaaS company with your husband that you would grow to 30,000 users,
Crazy.
10 years later.
Yeah. And I don't think I even had an expectation of what I pictured like the next 10 years to be at that time. I was just so happy to be solving a problem. And then to be here at 30,000 users, like what a cool milestone. 30,000 users, 10 years. It was like such a perfect alignment of everything coming together of like, man, like we built this, Jake. And I think on that day of our birthday, it was February 24th. I was just like, Jake, like, I'm really proud of us. Like, we had no idea what we were doing, but it's just proof of like, you don't have to have everything all figured out. You don't have to know. I had no idea marketing. I had no idea like social media stuff or education or any of that. And you just like consistently show up, have your ears open and listening to what people around you are saying and go with your gut. That's like what we've led everything with Dubsado in the last 10 years is really listening to our guts and what our users are saying. And it's pretty impressive. Not knowing anything and being here is just like proof for anyone of like, you're too scared to get started? Well, heck, I sure was. You can just start.
I mean, just start.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the most successful people in business are the ones that are willing to take a risk.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I will throw anything together and put it out there and attempt to sell it. And if people buy it, great. If they don't, great.
Yep.
I'm still going to figure out what would make it better, what might change the outcome, and then try again.
Yep.
So, I mean, yes, I feel like everybody should be willing to take a leap when they are running their business. Before we talk about user feedback, because I know how important that is to both you and Jake, I do want to talk about growing the business from the employee side, because I know that you work every day with your co-founder husband and that your bestie is actually on staff as well. So what did it look like over these 10 years to kind of go from just you and Jake to now, I don't actually know how many employees Dubsado has.
There's 30 of us.
There's 30. I mean, hey, 30 and 3,000. So, I mean, there's technically 1,000 users for every person that works at Dubsado. That's kind of cool.
It is, yeah. So many things line up.
So what did that look like to kind of go from 2 to now 30? How did you make some of those hiring decisions? What did you prioritize? Tell me it all, Becca.
Yeah, I mean, we'd never done this before. So like we had no idea what it even was like to hire. And our first hires were people that we knew because that's what we knew. And so actually Biz is my best friend and our chief people officer. She was our first hire and I really needed someone to help with customer care tickets. Like I was the one that was answering all the customer feedback and tickets and posting on socials and marketing it, whatever was not development, because I sure as heck can't do that, was my side of things. And I was like, so I need someone to help me focus on the customer. So then it was Biz. And then Jake's like, well, I need help. So we hired his brother. And then we needed someone to help us with partnerships. So we hired another friend. And we were good with that core group for a while. And then we just kept finding people that we knew. And then came along Cameron, who was part of our education team. And so it was like all of these people that we knew. And then we literally maxed out our Facebook friends list of like, we don't know anyone else. Like, no joke. We would literally open our phones and scroll of like, which friend can we hire? And that was a really weird point of like, we can't hire anybody else because we are at a stage in our business where we need that experience. And we also ran out of friends. Jake and I don't have, we keep small friend groups. So it was interesting then going out and hiring in the real world. And that's where Biz became our chief people officer because gosh, we learned the hard way. You need to have those internal systems and processes all set up. You need to have an HR type team to be able to handle the hiring, handle the process of onboarding and all of that with people. And it was tough. We've made a lot of mistakes too. And there were a lot of things that we did too early and we scaled too fast and too aggressively in terms of the people side, where if we just would have planned out things a little bit better in terms of internal systems and processes, we could have saved so much more money. But people, my business coach always says, the hardest part about running a business is the people. And it really, really is because especially as a founder, you have this this goal and vision of where you want to go. And you want to, especially with a SaaS company, you want to release all these great features that help people save time. But there are so many other parts of the business that are pulling you of you need to make sure your employees are all good. You need to make sure they're on the same track. And it's different than just going out and building for the public, for your customers. It's a whole different job to foster your team and make sure that they have the career ladder, the tools to be able to force multiply what you have been doing yourself and being able to push that context onto them so they can go be the creative geniuses that they are and think of things that you've never thought of. And for so long, that was so hard for me to stop and slow down and be able to pass on that context. And because I'm a person that just likes to go in and do myself and to get things done.
So the one thing that I found when hiring in my own business as someone who can just get in there and get things done is that I had to make time to explain what it was that I needed done for, say, my virtual assistant. Because if I kept jumping in there and just doing it every single time, I would never have the opportunity to kind of outline what it is that I need, create an SOP so that she can do it the next time and the time after that. And so believe me, Becca, I totally get what you're saying because even now my fractional CMO will add a task to my virtual assistant's, page about changing something on a website. And I'm like, it's probably only going to take me the time to read it to go do it. So
right.
How about I just do this real fast?
Yes. Yeah. It's you got to slow down to go faster. I think that's the main thread here.
You
hard.
do.
Yeah.
And so I want to bring this around to the fact that Dubsado is self-funded. Because I'm going to be honest, every single one of your emails where you talk about how it's self-funded, I used to roll my eyes at you, Becca. I feel like we're friends now. I feel like I can be honest like that. But it wasn't until I've seen what VC money has done to some of the companies that I actually love that I'm like, no, I feel like I should shout from the rooftops that Dubsado is self-funded. So why is it so important to both you and Jake that Dubsado stay self-funded? And what has that meant for your growth of Dubsado?
At the very beginning of Dubsado, I feel like I need to prepare that context before. It was not even an option for us. It wasn't on our mind to do that because we knew we wanted to move really, really fast. And we weren't trying to prove anything of look, we're self-funded, we can go faster than these other companies that are doing it. But what we found as we were doing that is the reason we were able to move so quickly was because we were able to listen to our users. And listening to our users allowed us to grow faster. And what we are then seeing of wow, look what happens when you listen to people. Your company grows. How come this company and this company is not doing that? Well, they have a board of directors that they need to report to. They have quarterly business reviews that if they don't hit their goals and their metrics, then their investors, I don't know what will happen, but because I've never been in that situation.
Because that's not going to happen at Dubsado.
But it just became who are you trying to please? And yes, of course, these other companies definitely need to create a good product and all of that for their customers. I'm not pushing them down on that, but there is this other goal of trying to please their board of directors and their investors. But who our board of directors are and how our framing is like our customers are the ones that are investing in us. And so we need to do whatever we can in like making them happy and making sure that they have the tools that they need. And that is how we assess our success in Dubsado. And so for being self-funded, that's been the most important thing for us is our users are the investors and we don't have to please anybody else. It just cuts out so much noise, so much of the unneeded pressure. Like we feel pressure from our users in a good way, like not the bad negative way, but we feel that pressure and it just it allows us to work with a different frame of mind.
Okay, now I'm going to ask what I would consider to be the hard question on my list, because I feel like a lot of people come to me because they think that I have some special in at Dubsado. They're like, Coley, like you've been doing this for so long. Don't they listen to you? Can't you just tell them to like make this and have them do it? So my question related to being self-funded and being able to move at a pace that's appropriate for you and the value that you guys place on your users, why does it take so long to implement the things that we want? And I could give you some examples, but you already know what my examples are. So I'm going to let you take it first until I feel like I'm not attacking you, but like, going a little stronger.
I love this question. And I love that you're asking it because it allows me to finally talk about it. There is so much that goes on as part of running any company, but a SaaS company as well. Like you're working on software and you can't just like pile on. That is how you get yourself into so much trouble because there's structural stuff. There's things on the back end that you can't just like go and create this feature on top of another feature because it's going to break this. And part of what takes Dubsado so long to do things in any software company on 2.0, we definitely had some like huge technical debt. We definitely had some like big issues that we built features on top of features on top of features, and it became so hard and to release things that should have taken us maybe a couple weeks, but it took us like 3 months. And so that was a struggle. But now that we're on 3.0, it is such a green field. We call it our 3.0 our green field because now we can like really create features faster. And I love that you're asking this question now that 3.0 is out because people are still like, well, I have been asking for multiple clients on a contract for ever since the beginning of Dubsado. In fact, I have a picture of back in 2017 where I had this on a board and we haven't done it yet. And now that we're in 3.0, we're making the plans to do it. Like we see that future. But if we were to just say, if I were to walk into the developers area today and I'm like, we need to create this feature, there is so much back-end infrastructure that needs to happen in order for a feature to get done. And when I see people complaining about like, why isn't this done? Why isn't this? And why are you releasing this feature when you haven't done this one? It's probably the most common one I get. And so the way we have Dubsado set up is we have like different work streams that are happening. We have people that are working on like what I call the boring stuff, but the really necessary part of like laying the foundational groundwork. It's not the fancy stuff. It's not the features, but it's laying the foundation. Then we have people that are working on like the very complex conditional logic, creating a new form builder, multiple clients on a project, things that people have been asking for. And I know we have been wanting for so long. And so they're working on that. But then there are other teams that are working on like, what are quick wins, like really great growth opportunities, like surprise and delight moments that we can do for people that do not mess with the foundation, that do not mess with other things. And so those are the things that we're like able to deliver. Like we just launched bulk actions, bulk emails, tagging for templates, archiving templates. Like a lot of these things people have been asking for forever, but those were like I say little, like they're huge features, surprise and delight things that in this new greenfield that we're at with 3.0, we're able to do this. While concurrently, our team is working on those more foundational things. And so I think when people see features getting launched and the ones that they're not, the ones that they're wanting are not getting launched, they're still being worked on. I promise you, they're still being worked on. It's just not shown. It's because the foundation is being laid so that we can go really, really fast later.
Well, I mean, I was there in February for the event, and when we split off, because you guys gave us like 4 opportunities to get into like nitty gritty talks with people from Dubsado, and I went to the scheduling one, And, that's the feature that you guys ended up releasing first was inside of our room. I think there were 6 users, and actually 4 of them were hair and makeup artists. Actually, it was 7 of us plus the Dubsado people.
Okay.
And they had a problem with the fact that in 3.0, now that we're doing that Google automatic description thing, that people were able to cancel or reschedule. And so, that pretty much took up almost our entire conversation around scheduling. And then here we go, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? So 10 weeks. So it took 10 weeks from the time that we had this discussion at headquarters until the feature was finally released. And now we all have a button on our schedulers where we can choose, do not allow the customer to reschedule. And so, that wasn't even something that I needed. Like when we were having the discussion, I was like, oh, like that's really bad. But like it didn't affect me. But listening to the other people in the room, I could think about clients in my systems in session, in like my greater network of photographers, that this feature was something that they were really going to be able to use and implement immediately. And so I was happy with that feature. And now I'm just going to lay on that one, Becca, because you know what it is. Guys, I promise I did what I was supposed to do. I went to Dubsado and asked 5 different ways, when are we going to get like what I consider to be the master booking process, which is you offer them the services choices, then you get them to schedule, then you get them to sign a contract, then you get them to pay money. And Becca, I want you to assure everybody that I asked 5 times,
you really
5
did.
different ways.
You did it with a microphone in your hand.
Guys, you would be so proud of me. So I want to tell you guys now about the moment that I said, you know what? I'm going to stop asking you. I am now happy. The feature that Dubsado is now putting a lot of weight behind, a lot of time and energy, is the new form builder. And before I hear boos from the listening audience sitting at home, I want to make sure that you guys all understand what the new form builder is going to be, because it is not just giving you a better way to make your forms look better. That is not what it is. Dubsado is basically reimagining what it means to build these forms. And I'm really grateful and happy that Becca, if you're not following her on Threads, by the way, she's Becca Liz, you should go do that, because she keeps dropping these little nuggets about what they're working on behind the scenes with screenshots, guys. So she's bringing the receipts. But I want to say it was like a week ago, I was getting on Threads and I noticed that Becca had posted something. So I went to look, and lo and behold, it was a screenshot of them doing the prototype for the new form builder. So Becca, tell me what we can expect in the new form builder and why it's so exciting and why it is going to solve my demand of having the perfect booking process.
I feel like form builder is such a simple term for what we're building, because you're right. It's more than just the builder. But what we have come to find out as a internal team of Dubsado is forms are the future of Dubsado. Pretty much all of what you do in your business is delivering something to your client, receiving information back, and making sure that everything is good in that way. So like those outward communications. This new form builder, step 1, is all of your hopes and dreams of being able to combine multiple different documents into one, not just like, how the proposal, contract, invoice. So that's people love that because of that flow. You're going to be able to have that with anything. And another one of the top asks that's going to get solved with the form builder is people want to embed their schedulers on their forms. Like it's crazy. You can't put a Dubsado scheduler in a form. Like people want that flow to be different. And so another thing with us making the scheduler a lot better is being able for people to embed a scheduler on a form or being able to put it as part of that flow. This new form builder update also allows us to do conditional logic, whether it be, if they answer no to this question, then it shows that. Or if they answer no to this, maybe it doesn't show an entire page. Maybe it doesn't take them to the contract yet. So like logic that maybe goes beyond the form. I know there's been a ton of people asking about like, I want my proposal to trigger a subscription or a reoccurring invoice. Can't they just select a package and be able to have a subscription or a reoccurring invoice come out from that? Yes, that is something that we're doing.
I stopped breathing.
Somebody
I'm sorry,
go help
guys.
you.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we're getting recurring off of the new form. That is amazing.
Yes. And so like with that, like being able to do that, we need to look at how we're doing those reoccurring invoices. Like it definitely should. There's some like issues there that we want to work out and all of that. But like, what does a true subscription thing look like on Dubsado? How can people manage those subscriptions? So like Form Builder is like all encompassing for these huge, massive things that we're doing. But what we're really excited about with this new era that we're in terms of like technology and AI is like how we're able to build faster for our users. And this form builder is going to be the first example of how we are going to do incremental releases. So in the past, Dubsado has just released like these huge releases. They're pretty much like all tightened up, bow on it, everything ready to go out to our users. But we're wanting to do more little delight along the way. So there's not going to be some like huge, massive release of like, here is the new form builder. Everyone is going to see the form builder shape in real time. In a little bit, we're going to be launching checkout. So it's a way for you to send a client a link where they can type in, like Venmo, where they can type in an amount and you get that payment. No invoice, no nothing. It's just a checkout page. And that is tied in to the form builder stuff, believe it or not, because checkout is going to be part of the form builder in the future. So like we're going to be releasing tiny little features. So you'll start seeing this like picture come together. And then at the very end, we'll like scoop it all together and you'll see it all be formulated. So the form builder is pretty much everyone's ask into one name.
Yes, it is my ask. And guys, listen, I mean, I have plans. I feel like, see, Becca doesn't know this, but I'm inviting myself to headquarters. Because in case you guys didn't know, headquarters is in Burbank. Do you know how close that is to Disneyland?
So
I'm just
close.
saying, when I went in February, I went to the VIP event and then I immediately went to Disneyland for the next 3 days. So I am going to drop in on them when it is close so that I can get some goodness of this form builder. But yes, I do feel like it's going to make everybody's like Dubsado dreams come true, if you will, because of all of the potential that we have from that. Now, it also brings me to like, there was like some pretty serious talk while I was there in February where people were asking for the ability to do a lot of these things without having a project. And I know that a lot of people don't really understand that Dubsado is project-based. Like there is almost nothing that you can do in Dubsado without a project. If you're going to need to do things with your clients in the future, a project is created from a lead capture or a public proposal, or I guess you creating one manually. But can you talk a little bit about the kind of, I mean, it's not a massive migration, guys, don't get me wrong, but they have been making a lot of steps to kind of allow us as users to use Dubsado in a different way than we currently do. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people that are starting to think about selling their digital products and or their courses and their memberships out of Dubsado, which I got to be honest, up until now, every time I get a client that's like, oh, I want to sell this out of Dubsado, I'm like, absolutely not. Like, that's not what it's made for. It is made for one-to-one services. And so if you really want this, let's go look at this other product. But I've seen you guys make such strides. And I mean, I'm seeing people talking about it on Threads. So where are you taking Dubsado to where we are really going to be able to use it for more than like one-to-one services?
Yeah, I think that checkout page is like that first step that we're taking of seeing how our users interact with it. Because sending this checkout page that I described is not going to require any project. It's not even going to require a client that's set up in Dubsado. It's going to create it if the client doesn't exist. And so what we're seeing is like, what is the common thing that is going to shape this, what used to be a project? Is it going to be centered around the client? Or is the form going to be the one that ties it together? Is it going to be more of like anything that happens on this form? And so there's still a lot of questions that we have that we are releasing these like next few features of seeing how people interact with it so that we can learn and take that and be like, okay, we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. But you're absolutely right. It is not going to be 100% project-based. For the people that are project-based, don't worry. You're still going to be able to use it project-based, but really opening it up to be more flexible so that, I mean, we see so many, like I'm using coaches as an example because they work with like so many different types of people and classes and groups and all of that of like, there isn't one project for this cohort that they're doing. Like they're working with different elements and sending out different things. And maybe they want to keep something in one place, but that project doesn't have like one person to it, it has like 10 people to it. So how can we allow people to define themselves what a project is while staying within the Dubsado framework? So those are questions that we're still answering, and we're going to be gathering a lot of feedback from everybody. And I'm just so excited to hear how people are interacting with the next few features we put out.
Yeah, I feel like one of the words or I guess phrases that I kept hearing at the VIP event was flexible framework. You guys are working towards making everything as flexible as possible so that people can really start to use the Dubsado tools and the app itself in the ways that they need for their business, whether that is a one-to-one service or if it is something else. Because I mean, I love public proposals. They're, if they had scheduling, they would be like the absolute god. But like the fact that you can hand somebody that perfectly customized, curated proposal that, has all your images for those of us that are visual artists, films, photos, whatever it is, and the person can book directly off of it and then start the project and go from there is one thing. But like I was recently just helping a client who was offering a baby plan, and like there are just so many moving pieces to a baby plan, having multiple appointments, multiple sessions that we're trying to balance all of these different workflows. It's like, how do we put it together in one project? Or for some of my clients are like, no, that's just too messy. I want it to be in separate projects. But I love that you guys are working more towards making everything flexible so that people could maybe have related projects, even if they're choosing to do them in different ones. So I'm excited for like this new iteration of what this flexible framework is going to look like.
Yes. Yeah. It's the way people are working is going to change in Dubsado, and it's for the better, because the goal that we have is how can you finagle less in Dubsado, figure out how to make something work. It should just be so blatantly obvious and clear of like, I need to go in and do this, make this happen. And like, that's the beauty of where we are now in this day and age. And like in terms of AI and that's like our one focus with Dubsado is making sure that the tedious things that you had to do before and like that mental overload of decision making and all of that like should be completely reduced. And so that's like our main goal. And so we want people to understand right when they get into Dubsado, like, okay, yes, this is how I set up this subscription. This is how I want to do this.
Okay, guys, I'm going to ask Becca one more question because I think you guys know when I like my guests. And did I tell you that Becca is like my new biz bestie? I'm sorry, Sabrina, you have been replaced. Just kidding. But I am going to ask Becca this one last question because I feel like all of us as business owners sometimes get a little stuck in talking about the good, and we don't really talk about the things that like kind of made us as we went along the way. So Becca, Dubsado is 10 years in. What is the hardest lesson that you've had to learn, and how is that impacting where you're going in the next 10 years?
Yeah, the hardest thing, if I had to just put a vague point on it, and I can get a little bit more specific, is the only way through is through. Like there have been some really, really hard times where I didn't quite listen to my gut as much as I should have. And once like the event happened, it felt so catastrophic to me. And it almost felt like I was in that fight or flight phase of like, I just wanted to stay still. I just wanted to like curl up in a ball and go. But like, having those people around me to be like, come on, Becca, get up, go, keep going. And just putting one foot in front of, I mean, the biggest event was the Dubsado payments 1.0 incident where the bank that we partnered with decided to hold everyone's money. And we just launched this feature and we had like hundreds of thousands of dollars of our customers' money tied up in this bank that we chose to partner with for Dubsado payments. And what a freaking hard decision. But in my gut, I knew of like, I need to shut this down. Like, yes, I didn't want to have like the sunk cost fallacy of like, we did all this work, but like, we need to shut it down. And so the hardest thing is not listening to that gut. And that's where I've made like some really poor decisions. And like on the Dubsado payments one, I was just like, no, we're shutting this down. And we're going to be very truthful and honest with our customers of what's happening because they're small businesses too. Yes, like this is super frustrating and they have every single right to be upset. And that was so hard. Like that was probably one of the lowest points of running Dubsado was that moment. But so much trust was also gained in that time as well, because we were very open and vulnerable, and we just kept pushing through. And here we are, much better. Dubsado Payments 2.0. I'm so glad. Like everything had to happen the way that it happened to get to this point, but just like learning to trust myself in this process. And whenever I don't, that's when I get into trouble.
I mean, it can really feel like a failure when you put forth all of this effort into this one thing and then you backtrack. I mean, around our birthday, Becca, I launched a product last summer and I sold it for 3 whole days. And I was like, no, I mean, sold it. People actually bought it. And I was like, this doesn't feel good. Immediately put it back on a wait list. And now I use it in my bigger offer. And so, it wasn't that it was wasted. And so I'm kind of sharing this with you so that I can ask a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like all that time and effort that you spent with that bank did it make the process of switching Dubsado payments over to Stripe easier, or was it really like double the work?
It was definitely easier. Easier because we knew what we didn't want and we knew exactly what we wanted. And so we came in because our partner now is Stripe, who partners with us for Dubsado payments. And we're like, you cannot do this. You cannot do that. We need this. Our customers are our top priority, and you cannot hold their money. And like, we worked so close with them and actually like helped them change a lot of their frameworks and processes because they had never worked at a level of a partner of working with small businesses like this. And so it was really cool to be on that like frontier's edge of like helping push Stripe further. So it was definitely a lot easier. And our team had a lot more context on like our developers on like, no, I'm going to build it this way now. So we actually released Dubsado Payments 2.0, the Stripe version, way quicker than we did the past one with the other partner.
And I think one of the biggest complaints that you got, which I'm only bringing it up because I want to make sure that anybody that listens to this knows that it's not your fault. I think a lot of people weren't really, maybe they'd had their Stripe account for like a long time and they originally connected it in Dubsado years ago, like I had way back in 2017 when I first got Dubsado. Like when you connected Stripe then, it was one Stripe account and everything that you did was connected to one. But I do know that you guys got a lot of flack when you released Dubsado Payments 2.0 with Stripe, in that everybody was really mad about the fact that they had to create a new account. And I was telling people, yeah, that's not Dubsado, that's Stripe. Like, do you not have something like Thrivecart? Or, I mean, I personally have 4 different sub-accounts on my Stripe, and it's really annoying, but Stripe does that for you so that if one of your sub-accounts gets hacked, or, I mean, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but it's really to silo each of the places that you get money to kind of protect it from the other. But I do know that y'all got a lot of flack because they thought that it was because of you that they had to get new sub-accounts. And I'm like, no, if you go open up a new account with someone else tomorrow, you're going to have another sub-account.
Yeah, because like the different partners that Stripe works with has like different back-end needs and different this and different that. So like you can't just have one Stripe account to hold everything because there's different, Thrivecart or Kajabi or all of these like different tools use Stripe so differently, and we all connect in their back end a lot differently as well. So I think Stripe has made some updates too of like they have now a combined dashboard where you can see your projected like stuff, because I know that was like a huge complaint because people wanted to see how am I doing across my whole business of all my Stripe accounts. So I think they've made some progress there because we're at the very beginning of them working with partners like that. And we did experience a lot of friction in that way, and trying to be like one of the first people in doing this. I know it's been out for a couple of years, but like in working with like small businesses in that way. So they've listened to a lot of our feedback. It's been nice.
That's good.
And we took whatever you all said of like, our customers are saying this, please like fix it. So know that we have been chatting with Stripe the same way you all have been chatting with us.
Yeah. So let's finalize this. I know I said that was the one last question, but then now I have one more.
I love
So
it.
let's talk about Dubsado 3.0 and where we're going forward, because I think that Dubsado 3.0 was released to beta people in November or December?
Yes. Yeah. It was November 17th, actually. I know the date.
Okay.
Ingrained in
And
my
so
mind.
we're almost 6 months in. What are we looking at in terms of Dubsado 3.0, sunsetting 2.0? Because I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is, but you just have to say it out loud so that no one can say that I didn't ask you the question.
Perfect. It's the sound bite.
There you go.
Yeah, that is the top question that we get asked is like, when is Dubsado 2.0 going away? Because I'm not ready to move over to 3.0 yet. And to calm everyone's fears and whatnot, it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little bit, especially it's changed a little bit since we last spoke, Coley. But we're looking at, and this is like very rough, but we're looking at sometime next year, mid-late next year, that we're going to be sunsetting 2.0. And the reason why we push it off so far is because we want to make sure that, yes, everything is working in Dubsado 3.0, but also Dubsado 3.0 is out of beta. And so that is becoming like our main goal right now, is making sure that like silly little bugs are flushed out, things that definitely should not be happening are not happening anymore. And we have released a few core things that we believe are going to be so important to getting us out of beta. And like one of those is like the preliminary foundation and framework for the form builder. So that's going to be like a requirement for us. And once we see some of those requirements get checked, we're looking at like a 4 to 6 month lead time that we're going to let our users know, hey, Dubsado 2.0 is going to be sunset. Take your time, get over there. So there's going to be so much time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Because, people ask me, I'm going to admit to you, Becca, a lot of my clients, I tell them, no, don't go to 3.0 yet. Like, it's all good. You can still stay in 2.0. Everything's good. But then I get my brand new clients who just switched to Dubsado. And so, I don't want to tell them to go into 2.0 to do anything because they've never seen it before.
Exactly.
So having to learn 3.0 and then, if something isn't working properly, telling them to go do it in 2.0 for them is just not really an issue. But I'm mostly asking for all the people on Threads that are like, oh my gosh, but like, I don't want to switch. When do I have to switch? Guys, she just said at least a year. So can everybody stop asking?
And
it's going
to be so, you're going to want to switch by that time. Like that's kind of our goal. And the indicators that we're looking at is like how people are switching. Like we see who is using both. We see who is using just one. And so we're really looking at those numbers. We're not just going to switch it and hope like everybody please move over. Like we want most people to be over there by the time we say, hey, we're sunsetting 2.0. And part of the little carrot that we're dangling is like, there's all these cool things over here that are going to change.
You can't have them at 2.0.
Exactly, because it's just not feasible for us. But like, it's going to change how you work. Like you shouldn't be, 2.0 is going to be so darn manual compared to what 3.0 is going to be like.
It's going to feel like Windows 95.
Exactly.
I remember Did I age you, Becca?
No, I think when I started using like my computer, I had a Windows 94 laptop. It was so cool. It was cool.
I mean, sometimes I have to remember that the people that I speak to in business are not necessarily in the same age bracket as me. I mean, because I didn't have a cell phone until college. I didn't have a laptop until graduate school. Oof. I mean, so, I'm that old.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Becca, I seriously can't thank you enough for coming on and having this conversation. I mean, it was so great to like meet you in person. Yeah. And they often say that like you shouldn't meet your heroes because you just get disappointed. But, you and Jake and really everybody at Dubsado is absolutely amazing. And so I love that you invited me to the VIP event. I mean, I'm saying thank you personally.
Yeah.
And, thank you for coming on my podcast and having this conversation, because I do feel like there was a time when I was a little iffy about, putting all of my eggs in the Dubsado basket, if you will, not as a user. I'm talking about the other side of my business, like actually building it to where, I mean, I mostly do Dubsado and Dubsado only, and that can be a very scary thing, but it does make me feel better knowing you guys and how much effort you put towards the product and your customers. And so, I mean, I'm a Dubsado for Photographers girl.
Heck yeah. We love having it. And it was so great meeting you in real life too. Like you've been with Dubsado for so freaking long. And
So
like
long.
it felt weird seeing you in real life of like, she's only been on the screen. So it's so great. It's so great.
All right, everyone. I hope that you found this interview insightful. I mean, I know it was a little different. We talked more about personal stuff, and really we just created like this love fest for Dubsado. But I think you guys know that I would not talk about Dubsado so much. I would not recommend it so much if I didn't really believe that as most of us as visual artists really need the ability to make our process and our client experience match our brand from beginning to end. And so with that, that's it for this episode. See you next time.